Do the new DPVR E4 updates now make this the best budget PC VR headset? There's some tight competition here, and there's one very large elephant in the room. We'll cover that and the specifics of the new updates. DPVR did send this headset to me for my thoughts and review. As always, I've got full creative control and all thoughts are my own. Let's kick things off with the fact that this headset has been updated from the original E4. It now comes in this black colour, which in my opinion just looks way better. Now I'll talk about the updates in a second, but the main drawcard here is its price, coming in at $599 US. For me, this puts it in a bit of an awkward spot, just because some of the other competitors are sniffing around this sort of price range, mainly the Meta Quest 3, and we'll compare them soon. So, upgrades, what are they and what are we getting? Well, it now comes in black, which we already covered, and that's way nicer in my opinion. There's the addition of a small fan on the top and some vents on the bottom. Now we'll go on to that a bit more in depth soon. The breakout box has been moved much further down the cable. The faceplate is now made from some sort of like soft plushy material, and you can also pull it off super quick and it magnetically snaps back. And finally, it also comes with these projection rings. You can see them just in there. That's for people that wear glasses. And again, we'll dive deeper on this further in the video, but there are some surprises here. So let's talk about what this headset has got going for it, and then we'll go into some of the not so good stuff. And there's also a bit of a deal breaker coming, so make sure you stick around for that. Out of the box, it feels okay for the price. I was quite surprised how well it was actually packaged and just how it felt to hold. When I picked it up for the first time, I was shocked at how light it felt. This headset sits at around 285 grams, which is superb, and definitely one of its best features. Another thing I liked was this kind of like halo design. It relieves some of that pressure from the facial interface around the nose and the eyes. Now, for my shape of head, this worked quite well. Having the face mask sit lightly around my face and eyes was a bit odd at first, but as soon as I get used to it, I found it extremely comfortable. One of the most comfortable headsets I've tried. The halo design allows you to flip up the screen 90 degrees. Now, that's really convenient for putting it on and off, or just flipping it up and down if you need to look around in the real world. I prefer the comfort and convenience of this easily over the likes of a Meta Quest 3. Comfort-wise, with the new upgraded softer material, the weight and the halo design, I'm a massive fan. The head tracking seemed reasonable as long as the room had some light. The hand controllers, actually, I'll just grab them in a second. The hand controllers seem to track just fine, but being a flight simmer, I never really used them that much. The software setup was pretty simple. I had no issues going through the process and getting set up and running. It really kind of just walks you through it. So they've done quite well there. And now for the fan, which is on the top. You get the fan and some vents on the bottom. Now the fan is one of the biggest upgrades this headset has seen. I'll start by saying I never got sweaty inside this headset. There was no fogging of any kind, so it certainly works, but I do think the fan could be a little too strong. If they reduced the power or speed, would it work as well? I don't know. Would I like it to be less powerful? Yes. Would I like them to remove it completely? Absolutely not. Other than the fan just being a little bit strong for me, I think it's a good implementation. One of the things that might tempt you with this headset is the fact that it's got a lower resolution, for the only reason that if you have a slightly underpowered PC, you may have a better chance at achieving flush frames, either at 72, 90 or 120. Now the resolution is 3664 by 1920. and that's not per eye. This is a single screen, so that's the full view. A little bit low compared to some other mid-tier headsets that this might compete with, but it does have a slight advantage in the fact that you're getting a 120Hz uncompressed DisplayPort connection compared to the Quest 3, which you can also run at 120Hz, but it's a USB-C, and this introduces compression. So using that DisplayPort on the DPVR E4 negates those compression artifacts altogether, but it doesn't compare well with the Quest 3 display. There's quite a large leap in terms of the Quest 3, but to me this feels like a Quest 2 on steroids, if you like. That's kind of where I think that it sits. The next surprise I got was the bumpers put on around the lenses. Now I will show you on some overlay here so you can see them a little bit better. These are to help with glasses wearers. Now, using glasses with this headset is possible. It's not something I can say about any other headset I've ever tried. I'd still always recommend prescription VR lenses for any VR headset, but if you really wanted to, this headset, you know, it works quite well with glasses. But obviously, you know, that's going to change. It's going to change with the shape of your face, the type of glasses you're using. So just take that into consideration. The full facial interface snaps out easily. That wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah, I just hadn't pushed it on properly. The facial interface snaps out easily with magnets, and it's really nicely implemented. The FOV is 116 degrees. Now that's diagonal or corner to corner. It's about average for an entry-level headset like this. And this is the only headset I've ever been able to run at 120Hz and actually achieve it. And I have to say I enjoyed the higher frame rate, although that was through the main sim PC, which is a 4080 with a 7800 X3D, so there's a bit of grunt behind that. On my older PC, I tested this and got a fairly solid 72Hz, running at lower graphical settings via Steam VR and dropping the graphics a bit in Microsoft Flight Simulator and DCS. That PC in question is a 3070 with a 7800 X3D, just for some context. Everybody's setup will be different though, so just consider those points. Now for the things that I didn't really like. Let's start off with the fact that there's no mechanical IPD adjustment. IPD is the distance between each pupil. If you get this wrong in any headset, you're not going to be looking through the sweet spot for the best results. The physical or mechanical IPD sits at what I measured to be 64mm. Now I simply tried to measure this with a ruler. You do have software IPD adjustment, which is 54 to 74mm, which is a fairly large range. But as my IPD is 65mm, I'm going to struggle to test this out and see if it actually works. I'm going to say if your IPD falls out with that 60 to 70mm range, you might want to look at a headset with a mechanical IPD adjustment. I'm really not sure why they don't have an adjustable mechanical IPD. It just seems crazy. That in turn with these being Fresnel lenses, look, it makes the sweet spot mildly small, and going on that, I definitely get your IPD measured by an optician before dropping any money on this headset. Whilst I spoke about the resolution being easy for your mid-powered PC to drive, you'll also clearly see the difference between this and the likes of the Meta Quest 3 in resolution, clarity, and the physical size of the sweet spot. The resolution was a little underwhelming. I reckon there will be lots of games where this is actually just fine, but in a flight simulator, I need to be able to see the gauges and dials, and I just couldn't. I had to lean in close to make them out. Flight games like War Thunder and the like though, I reckon this could be fine. And you'll get a good experience, especially if you play arcade or realistic, just maybe not simulation mode. Then there's the internal speakers, which you'll find on the underside of the headband. Now, these are not that good at all. Now, it does ship with headphones, which I also forgot to bring over. Look. These headphones, Jesus. Now these headphones are essential, and the sound you get from these is fair. It's kind of what you would expect. It comes with 3 sizes of ear tips, so they should fit most people. What I'd really have loved to have done would be use my existing gaming headphones, but unfortunately the way the DisplayPort cable kind of pokes out on the side, it just kind of got in the way, and this doesn't seem to be, like, I can't adjust it, or I can't move it, or I can't tighten it against the side of the band. So that was a bit disappointing. Now, we did mention the elephant in the room at the beginning, and that's the fact that the Meta Quest 3 is around the same price. And that's kind of the reason for all the Quest 3 references throughout the video. With the Quest 3, you'll get better lenses, larger sweet spot, and higher resolution displays. However, it will be harder for your PC to run it, and it can be quite uncomfortable and heavy. And I think the comfort is super important, if not the most important thing in a VR headset. And this kind of flows onto what I'm going to say next. Do I recommend it? Firstly, I can't really recommend this headset outright for flight simulation. I don't think the clarity is there to read the fine details, the dials and the gauges. It could be okay in more of an arcade style flight game though. However, this needs to be balanced out by the sheer lightweight and comfort of this headset. It's well balanced, super light, and maybe one of the most comfortable headsets I've tried. But you can spend an extra $100 or maybe less to get more comfort out of the likes of a Meta Quest. So you got to kind of balance this out. When it comes down to it though, I feel like aside from the comfort, the visual clarity in this headset does feel a little outdated. It might be perfect fit for someone on a lower end PC though, but if you have a good gaming PC like a 3080 equivalent and upwards, coupled with a high-end processor, I'd recommend something other than the DPVR E4. If you're running anything less powerful, then this headset starts to make more sense. Your PC will find it easier to run, you'll get the comfort benefit, and you may be able to stretch its legs and get that 120 Hz or FPS out of it, and you'll certainly enjoy that.